Good afternoon and welcome to the panel. So this panel is focused on trends in global migration and migration programs. So perhaps, we don't have a lot of time. It's helpful to think about some of the options and expertise we have here in terms of global migration trends. So when I look at that and when I look at the data, perhaps we start with Matt, right, talking about USA. So the last time I saw data, interest in USA was down. And Matt, I just wonder, has that got to do with the EB5 program being suspended, or how do you see that?
Yeah, can everybody hear me? Not sure. Yep, I think everybody can hear me. So yeah, it does have to do with the program being suspended. So in June of 2021, the program actually was allowed to lapse. It was not renewed by the US government, and it's a program that requires renewal over a certain period of time. And it actually remained lapsed until March of this year. And so in March of this year, a new Reform and Integrity Act was passed that allowed EB5 to be reauthorized through 2027. It provided a lot of protections for the program. And now we're starting to see investors take interest in the program, and it's coming back to life. We're seeing investors pick up. But certainly in terms of the data, very few people were filing because the largest segment of the program, the EB5 Regional Center program, had lapsed and been shut down. And the only program available was direct EB5 investment, which has always made up a very, very small percentage of the overall EB5 program.
So Matt, how many, we're in Dubai, you have one of the biggest regional centers in the industry. How many people do you see from Dubai, and is that on the uptick, and what's going on?
Yeah, there has been an uptick. And so from this market, a lot of people know that investors that we would sign aren't necessarily Emirati, right? They're coming from various parts of the world, predominantly clients from India who have immigrated in some form or fashion to Dubai for work, or from other parts of the Middle East. And so a lot of the clients that we work with here, they don't show up as clients having come from Dubai when it comes to, or the UAE rather, when it comes to the data, because they're always basing that data on country of origin. So we're looking at markets like India certainly start to take interest.
So let's talk about Portugal, because as we have offices all over the place, and we certainly see that Portugal has been quite popular. So David, why is Portugal popular, and what's going on with Portugal?
You see, Portugal is popular because it offers an opportunity to invest in a proper way, at the same time collecting the residence cards without having to relocate, and after 5 years is eligible for citizenship. So the reason is it's difficult to get a EU citizenship if you're not living in Europe, and this is one way to get it. So that's why Portugal has been quite popular. At the same time as we have opportunities for investment that you can generate returns, and we have a very solid market. Portugal is also thriving and getting a very high demand from all the directions, and being elected as one of the nicest places to live in. So that's the reason why the demand is high.
Thanks. And then obviously Holland is part of Europe too, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of opportunities in investing in the Netherlands. I just gave the figures just from now for my colleagues, and they said 12 billion small and medium enterprises need financing. So if you have 240,000 SME entities in the Netherlands, 24% of them need financing. So there are a lot of opportunities. At this point, we can search for 1,200 companies are for sale. So if you want to have a company that's already established, we can find it for you easily. It's through a platform. Within 24 hours, you can make selections for you. So it's really easy to invest in the Netherlands.
What are the immigration benefits if I invest in a Dutch company?
The thing is, the investment in a Dutch company, and you want to go for Dutch citizenship, if you set up a company and through a payrolling company, you have to earn 60,000 euros a year to the payrolling company. But if you invest in your own business, through the payrolling company, it's going to be a triangle. So you're going to be ownership 100% of your own business. Payrolling is through our Cosmo company, what we're offering. And then after 5 years, you get your passport.
Oh, okay.
So it's really interesting. And for the workers, which you're going to attract from India, wherever around the world, they have a lot of the benefits fiscally. So it's 30% ruling, 30% of the tax is free. So for 5 years also. So it's really interesting.
Portugal has some programs like that too, I think, right?
Yeah, Portugal has programs to incorporate companies and qualify with 10 workers. It's probably not as developed as Netherlands in order to have enough shelf opportunities to do that. But there is also opportunities to incorporate your company and qualify and get your residence permit. If you want to qualify for the Golden Visa, which does not require to stay permanently in Portugal, the way is to incorporate the company and hire 10 permanent employees.
Thanks. What about Greece? I remember going to Athens a long time ago and hearing all kinds of things going on.
Greece has this successful Golden Visa program that has been enhanced by a fixed-term deposit option, which is 400,000. The trends now for the Greek Golden Visa is that the government has announced to increase the threshold to 500,000. It has just been announced. We do not know when it will be implemented. The Greek Golden Visa gives the opportunity to invest all over Greece, irrespective of geographic. There is no geographical limitation like other countries. And there is a new aspect that has been accepted mainly for Russian clientele, but now they are not anymore eligible. You can have a minor who can be the main applicant. That means that a minor can be the owner of the property, and the minor can give the Golden Visa to his parents. So, to recapitulate, Greece has this new option of fixed-term deposit that gives you flexibility. You have a capital guarantee because it's a Greek bank. You can break it at any point that you want. You have, from the moment you break it, you have a 2-month period to buy a property and to convert your fixed-term deposit Golden Visa to a property one.
Awesome, thank you. So, UK used to be part of Europe, but it isn't anymore. I have my first license to practice law is in the UK, and we have a UK immigration firm. But even me, I'm confused. What on earth is going on with UK and investment immigration at the moment, and what's, where's the future?
It's certainly true that the UK investment and immigration market is going through a field of change. The Home Office, being the Home Office, unfortunately aren't the most efficient people, either in undertaking tasks or providing information. Having said that, the UK has many, many benefits, and we all talk about investment and returns on our money. That's true in the UK as well. However, for us, I believe there are other benefits there. So, for example, if you come to the UK to live, your children will receive free education. If they're in Scotland, they'll also receive free university education. In certain parts of the country, for example, the Isle of Man, you can receive free healthcare as well. So can you imagine where you live now? And I would imagine most of you are paying for children's education. You probably have medical insurance. Take those costs out of your everyday life, what that's going to save you. The UK is also very safe, not just so that I mean physically safe, I mean a safe haven for investments as well. So it has a lot going for it, but yes, you're right, we've had a bit of a tough time of late, but I honestly believe going forward into 2023, there are some changes in the various visa scopes, such as the innovative visa will be no longer with us. But we work in areas such as the skilled worker visa. Now that covers both employment, it covers investment, and it also helps people set their own businesses in the UK. So while yes, the headlines are not great, actually scratch below the surface, and there's some really good stuff going on in the UK.
We see clients interested in starting up a business or an office in the UK. I think there's still good options for that, right?
Very much so. We operate through the skilled workers, I just said, so we have a skilled worker for business. So that means they can come to the UK and actually sponsor themselves. So whilst they're still the skilled worker, they're sponsored by their own business. They're not having to invest into other people's companies. They're not having to invest or work in other people's companies. They can invest and work in their own business. So it's very much alive starting and building businesses in the UK.
Nice. So Turkey, right? So you read different things about Turkey at the moment, about their property program, and then there's all the other programs in Turkey that no one's ever heard of that always sound quite good to me.
Okay, now, speaking about Turkey, you will notice Turkey is a very different country. It follows culture more than it follows its rule, and its rules is all built upon its culture. That's what you notice when going to Turkey. Looking at the news, you said the news, seeing news from different perspectives, you see different Turkey. Then, once you go into the country, you will notice something that you can casually make plus 100% on your investment ROI. And this is too good to be true, yes, but it's actually fact. Places that I'm glad I won't waste time mentioning, but there is places that you could make 100%, yet you keep a passport in your pocket. This passport is a second chance for yourself, for your family. The program basically gives a passport once you invest $400,000. $400,000 will go to a property, a freehold property that you own, and the passports will go to yourself, your wife, and kids under 18 years old. Again, the basics of Turkey is free education, respectful, growing, keeps growing healthcare.
One of the things that always seems to me is with a lot of programs, investment programs, governments are quite strict about source of funds. How is Turkey in terms of source of funds?
Could you please elaborate more?
In other words, proving where you got your money from.
Okay. This is always a problem that's not just in Turkey. I think it's facing in Dubai itself. Turkey is working on it. I'm not saying it's already there. The banking system is still growing, which is why investors go there, because it's an emerging country. Emerging countries where you can see big opportunities, where you can make this kind of money that you couldn't be able to make in already emerged countries. So I would think this is not a bad thing. It's a positive point of view that you could look at it.
But if I turn up in Istanbul, right, with money, how much does the Turkish investment program care about where the money came from?
Practically, you will go to the bank, you'll get asked where this money come from, and whatever you answer, they will just put it. The same case as many countries in the world. But maybe you notice, once you read more, you see that the banking system in Turkey is evolving, and this is just part of its evolving, and we see no problem with it, honestly.
Okay, all right. So
it's actually a plus for investors, because majority of customers coming from the US also, many clients coming from the US, they find it very hard to send money because, taxes. They use all kind of alternative methods, such as cryptocurrency. You can send money with cryptocurrency, and we're a very open country. If you notice, Binance has only 2 local programs, Binance.us, Binance.Turkey.
Thanks. So let's talk about Canada, right? So we see a lot of interest in Canada, and why is Canada so popular?
Right, so firstly, thanks for the question, Mark. I'm very happy to represent Canada in this panel because indeed Canada has become very popular as far as permanent residency is concerned. 1 in every 4th person in Canada is an immigrant, and indeed Canada recognizes that immigrants contribute to the majority of their labor force. So in Canada right now, we are facing a scenario where there is acute labor shortage, they have a very low birth rate, and recognizing that immigrants will be contributing to the economy, they are building programs which help immigrants come to Canada. So all of us have heard about the fact that Canada has a point-based system. It has an express entry system wherein you get assessed on the basis of age, work experience, education qualifications, and your ability to score in the English language exam. But we do not know the fact that there are 10 provinces, 3 territories, and Canada has a program for everyone. So I feel that the most attractive feature, or why it's so popular, is because of the fact that Canada is giving everybody an opportunity, be it the student, be it an entrepreneur, be it someone who's wanting to just accompany the spouse, and they're constantly working towards making this system more efficient. In fact, Canada recently unveiled its 2023-25 immigration levels plan, and they have announced that they will be inviting 1.5 million immigrants in the next 3 years. This is by far the largest that any country has announced. In fact, in 2022 and 21, they far exceeded their quota by 50,000 to 100,000 immigrants. So I guess that's why it's so popular.
Thank you. And so let's go to, when I last saw data, Australia had become like kind of the number one for like ultra high net worth people, in at least the year I was looking at.
Yeah, well, thanks, Mark, and I just want to apologize to everyone because when I was invited to come to Dubai, I couldn't resist the fact that I had to go for Qatar. So I was in the World Cup, so I missed the flight and I just came here straight from that. So hence why the attire is not suitable to, without any disrespect to anyone. All right, going back to my subject, I think Australia, as you very correctly said, has been sourcing the business migrants and skilled migrants for the last 10 to 15 years. But if you look at it in the very recent, the Australian borders were closed for more than 2.5 years. This is during the COVID. So that gave so much of the demand that's created within the country. So with that, because the population is only about 23 million still, and they opened up the migration program, given more opportunities for business migrants. So they have increased the intake of about 15,000 new business migrants to come into the country. With the business migration to Aussie, they are not much interested in the money that you are bringing in. They are more interested in your know-how. In that aspect, they give you a 5-year visa as long as you satisfy your criteria to be eligible to come into the country as a business migrant. So during the 5 years, you can come in, set up your business, and start sending your kids to school for free and enjoy your lifestyle. And then during the 5 years, you need to bring in $1.25 million into your own business and the one that you brought into, and start living as a permanent resident. That's one program. Then it went up to, they have a $2.25 million program, which is an investor. So if you are a senior professional working in an organization, but over the years you have accumulated wealth, and now you think, all right, my kids are growing up, I need to get into Aussie, but as an investor, you can certainly do that. But in that instance, you need to transfer $2.25 million into a particular state, the requirement, and then you are given a 5-year visa. After the first 4 years, you have access to your funds, and then the permanent residency can roll on.
Awesome, thank you. So Matt, let's go back. US, right? World's biggest commercial market. Where do you see the future of the US program, and why do you think it will continue to be a top destination for people?
So one thing that I would say is that even with all of the other immigration programs that give people wonderful opportunities to plan their lives elsewhere, the United States has always been destination number one for educational opportunities, for business opportunities, for safety and security of the US dollar. And so the EB-5 program is going to continue to thrive just by way of general demand for people who eventually want to get to the United States or want to give their children the opportunity to live and work in the United States. And EB-5 gives them that ability to do that on a permanent basis. It's not citizenship, but it's a permanent green card. And so it gives them the ability to live in the US, work there. They're not attached to an employer the way they are with an H-1B program. And frankly, in order to pursue permanency, there are very few routes that provide access to the US CIS in the way that the US EB-5 program does. The other thing is that this bill that I talked about earlier that was passed, it gives people, some added perks and benefits. It was actually a really good deal for the EB-5 investors. The price is now $800,000 US for the minimum investment amount, and those are primarily the investment options that investors are going to see. At one time, it was all the way up to $900,000 US, and it could change over the years, but I think that that's a reasonable price point for the US program. There are added protections that provide integrity to the program, transparency measures whereby the regional centers that are active in this industry are required to audit, are required to provide additional reporting and transparency to the US government and to their investors. And I think those are great things for the program. And then there are protections. One thing that is big for the investors is that even though it's a 5-year reauthorization, any petition that's now filed is going to be grandfathered in, so to speak. And so you don't have to worry about a future sunset of the program because it falls, out of favor to the lawmakers. And so those are all things that I think are going to, not only the general demand for the U.S., but the quality of the program having been improved are going to allow it to continue to be very attractive to investors in the future.
So let's talk about the Caribbean for a moment. So obviously very, very popular here in the Middle East. Popular in some countries as a bridge to the US. What's good about the Caribbean, and where do you see the future?
Well, the Caribbean programs do not need an introduction here. Everybody knows them. I think that the clientele goes between one jurisdiction to the other, depending the final needs. I mean, those who want to come to you for a need to opt for Grenada, although Grenada has a very good competitor, Turkey. As far as Dominica is concerned, that I represent for many years, Dominica's program has been in the market since 1993. It is voted the past 6 consecutive years as the best program by the Financial Times. It gives you direct access, international mobility to 155 countries. It gives you tax planning options, no capital gains, no inheritance tax. It is a program that is quick, effective, and the only difference that it has from Grenada is the pricing and the E2.
Thank you. So Portugal, I read there's a price increase coming in Portugal, or what's the deal with the future of Portugal, and where do you see that going?
So there is no price increase. So basically, Portugal maintains the same rules from the beginning of the year. So there has been changes that happened beginning of January 2022. So most of these changes has to be to remove the investment from residential properties in the coastal areas to redirect it to the interior of Portugal. That is in place now since the beginning of the year. There's a lot of discussions about the program to continue or not. Fortunately, a couple of weeks back in time, the parliament decided that the program is to stay. So basically, we will continue with the same rules at least for another year. Gladly for our Prime Minister that has been advertising the closure of the program, and everybody is running to Portugal to do the application now. But so far we don't preview any changes immediately. Eventually there will be a review on the program in the later stages, but not for now. For the next year, I think everything will maintain the same.
Thank you. Let's talk. How do you see the future of the Dutch program?
Yeah, actually, it was nice to hear. Thank you to everybody that for the first time you're here from the Netherlands, and everybody was curious. What are you going to tell? What kind of program do we have here? Now, actually, we don't have a program because everything is tailor-made. There's so many solutions, opportunities what we can offer from the Netherlands. It's easy to do language. We have the main port harbor, Rotterdam, really, really big for the gateway to the whole of Europe. We have Schiphol Airport. And 4 flights a day to Dubai. It's like London has it, but we have it as well. So and all the people, if you come to the Dutch grocery shop and you say, hey, do you want to buy something there? And then say, okay, what's the kind of milk do we have? Everybody can talk back to you in English. So it's very easy for investors to come to our country. Even for workers, it's very easy because there are a lot of expat communities. So if people come to invest in our country, if people are coming for working in our country, we always look at the tailor-made solution because the tiny country we have, the history is we are always in trade. We have been in trade for many, many ages. So if you look at the Netherlands, the opportunities are way bigger than only look at the Netherlands. We are the gateway to whole Europe actually. So, and also from here now, the gateway to Dubai, to the EU. So and thank you that we are here. So hopefully next year again.
It always amazes me, like the economic impact of Holland, given the country's size, right? Small country, massive impact.
Yeah, massive impact. But tiny country, 18 million people living there in a tiny country. It's crowded, but yeah, we always have a lot of opportunities. So, and even though Starbucks started in the Netherlands for the European head office, Microsoft has its head office nearby Schiphol. So all the major companies has established in Amsterdam. So, and we're waiting for the Brexit. A lot of institutions also come to the Netherlands again. So we have a good investment climate. It's really interesting to look at it. So I will invite you all to come to our stage and talk further with it.
So Turkey, because Turkey is an interesting place in terms of future developments, right? Lots of things happening there.
So about future, looking at the future, I can only refer to one thing that we have been waiting in Turkey for the last 100 years. Not all of us know about the story. Turkey signed Lausanne Treaty just 100 years ago, and it will end in 2023, which will open new developments, a new future for Turkey. This moment is very big for us, and the only thing we are focusing on, we're thinking of, is growth. As you've noticed, Turkey is always growing in the economy, even though you can see some other places are not as much. Again, this is a normal feature of an emerging country with very big promises, with big lands. And here with me is Matthew. Matthew, he came from the US as a client. 1.5 years, then he became a partner with Property Turkey. So if you allow me, I'll ask him to come take my seat, and he can tell you about his personal experience with citizenship, because he's done the whole thing himself, and then he came part with us. So, Matthew, could you please come? Thank you.
Thanks so much. I want to touch on something you said earlier, Mark, having moved a lot of money into Turkey, and coming from the US, where their law is based on you're innocent until proven guilty, but it doesn't really play out that way, especially with financial transactions. My experience with Turkey and moving large amounts of money is their assumption that you're doing something right. Unless something comes up, there's no interference. There's no bureaucracy or red tape that gets in the way. There's effective documentation, though. You're not hiding anything, you're not sneaking it in. You're making a deposit, it's a clear wire transfer, and I've never had any issue.
Right. Yeah, Turkey, we work with a lot of programs, seems to be a lot more flexible in terms of some of these things. UK, right? Please tell me that there's going to be some. Are we going to get a program back? It's like.
Well, I think we already have some good programs, to be fair. And I think, as I touched on earlier, there is a major change for the UK programs. For example, the Innovator, which will be changed and dramatically changed. And unfortunately, I can't tell you details of that right now. But the Home Office has made I would call it a pig's ear of this change, without a doubt. However, having said that, what they have and what they've brought to the front is some very good alternative programs. I mentioned the skilled worker before. One program I mentioned in my presentation earlier was that the Isle of Man has an innovative visa. And that is very much similar to the existing UK innovative visa, but has a lot of benefits there. We had an issue with that in terms of residency. That's now been changed. So it simply means it's a lot easier to get an innovative visa through the Isle of Man, but still have access to the common travel area. For those who don't know what that means, it's all of the UK, it's Northern Ireland, and it also takes us into Southern Ireland. So there is an alternative to the innovative visa that's causing us problems in the UK, and that is the Isle of Man visa. And that, I would suggest, if that is your route, it's a much more.
So I don't know much about the Isle of Man Innovator, but how much investment is required, and how solid does the business plan have to be?
It has to be invested into a business that is either based or has interest in the Isle of Man. So it is an Isle of Man based product. So, for example, my business is based just outside Liverpool. We're about to open a new company that will be established in the Isle of Man. And the reason for that is things like company tax, personal taxation is very, very low. In fact, for our company, it's zero. So there is very limited limitation, and you are absolutely right. It's little known because it's just not been promoted. But equally, the red tape for this is far less than the UK. So, for example, we have endorsing bodies, which you will be aware of for the UK. The endorsing body for the Isle of Man is actually the Isle of Man government. So they decide whether you can come in, they decide the process, and they stamp your visa for you. It's the same office, it's physically the same office. They couldn't be easier.
So some of the people here might be confused because isn't this part of the UK? What's this Manx thing, UK? And if I convert to a passport, does it mean I'm Manxian, or am I like, what's the...
Yeah, it is what they call crown dependent. So in other words, King Charles, as he now is, he's actually the head of state for the Isle of Man, as he is in the UK. The passport looks identical to a UK passport, with the exception it's got the words Isle of Man on the bottom of it. The internal side of the passport, where your picture and all your details are, is exactly the same as the UK. So it is a crown dependency, it is a common travel area, but it is confusing, and I'm happy to explain it in more detail to people who want to come and chat to me. But it is an alternative to the very cumbersome, shall we say, current UK innovative visa. Much easier, gives you the same and more opportunities and benefits, and it'll be around a lot longer than the current UK version.
All right, future of Canada in 3 minutes.
I'll probably try and make it more brief than 3 minutes. So, Canada has a very bright future and immigrants contribute to it. What I like about the current system is that in the future, Canada is trying to bring forth more programs that's going to be catered towards the economic categories, which is business immigration. So Canada does not have a passive immigration program wherein you just make an investment and you forget about it. The government of Canada wants to invite entrepreneurs who have innovative ideas, who can contribute to the economy, and who have genuine intention to run the business. So this is something that we advise when we consult with a lot of clients. There are a lot of business immigration programs, both at the provincial level. So you have the entrepreneur immigration programs, whereby you need to make a minimum investment, you make a minimum net worth analysis, and then you can use that to plan your immigration. Secondly, at the federal level, you have programs whereby if you're an entrepreneur in your home country and you want to set up an affiliate of yours in Canada, or you want to just open a new business in Canada or acquire a business, then you can use that as well to sort of plan your permanent residency. And then there is a program called the Starter Visa Program, which is slightly similar to the Innovator Program in UK, wherein if you have an innovative business idea and you pitch it to organizations which are licensed by the Canadian government, they give you a letter of support that has an expedited pathway to permanent residency, which is as quick as 2 years. And I think this is by far the quickest program that Canada has come up with. It does not meet the express entry system. It does not depend upon points. And the good part is that you do not have to worry if you do not have formal training, if you do not have a certain level of education, or you're above 30 years, because the current system is skewed more in the favor of young immigrants. So as long as you have a clear intention to immigrate to Canada, we can certainly help you plan your migration.
Thank you. So that's back to Australia at the end.
All right, the Australian program has a general skill migration program as well, very robust, and they're very active. And in this financial year, they have opened up to 130,000 plus new migrants into the country with more than 540 odd occupations. So anyone who's in the age bracket of below the age of 45 and above 18 has their education qualifications, work experience, and the language skills, they are welcome to apply. The highest number of migrants attracted to Aussie is coming from UK, followed by China and India. And so there are business programs and the skill migration programs as well. If anyone's interested, my business partner Shami is in the stand. Please come and visit us so we can give a elaborative or a free eligibility assessment to anyone who's interested to know whether they are eligible either through the business migration program or through the general skill migration.
Thank you. So I'll just add something. Matt was talking about the EB5 program. In terms of the United States, don't forget the E2 program. So one of the things most of these programs have in common is most of the countries represented on stage are E2 countries. There's a special rule for the UK, but remember that if you get these products, it does give you that E2 visa, which can last the rest of your life for access to the United States. It's a great product. We see a lot of interest. I know you do Grenada as well, right? There's a lot of interesting...
And you're not taxable on your worldwide income with the E2 visa. This is the most important asset that you have to see.
Yeah, he's making the right point, is that you're not necessarily subject to global taxation if you do E2. So some of these programs are great in terms of access to the US. So we're pretty much at the end of our time. In fact, we're a little bit over, but I thought I'd give everybody the opportunity to give you one sort of final, most important thought about their respective country. So because we went this way every time, why don't we go this way this time? So let's start with Turkey.
Thanks, Mark. The short of it is, Turkey is one of the most dynamic countries on earth. It has hundreds of years of history and an emerging market still. That's a very rare combination, and I can't recommend it enough through my personal experience with it. Small bureaucracy, huge upside. The population being so young, the industrial sector, everything it's got going for it. Take a look at it. That's all I can say. Have a look. You'll like what you see. Cheers.
I would very quickly say for the UK that because we have a wide range of opportunities, whether it's for investment, whether it's for employment, whether it's for business, the one piece of advice I would give would be to make sure you understand what your future should be or where you want your future, and do your research and talk to reputable companies and seriously look at the UK.
For Canada, I would just say that we have a moment of opportunity and the doors of opportunity open and close. So make the most of it. Speak to a licensed immigration lawyer who can help you evaluate your profile. And yes, we would be happy to help you in whichever way we can.
Thank you. The Australian migration program is very attractive to anyone and very affordable as well in various aspects. Depends on where your economic and social class requirements. You have a program that Australia offers, and please make sure that you use a MANO-registered consultancy practice to get your advice on. And then we have that expertise. We are in the Gulf for more than 12 years and have helped many people from various backgrounds to successfully settle in Australia. So do come and visit us. My business partner Shamim and us in the stall if you need any further details. Thanks.
Well, for Dominica and Greece, I would suggest someone to consider doing both of them. They are the most cost-effective programs in the Caribbean and in Europe, and combining them both will give you an extra powerful passport, and you would avoid ETIAS, which is coming at the end of 2023, which is the new program of the European Union for all visa-free countries who enter European Union, and they're going to monitor who enters and who exits European Union.
So for Portugal, basically, I would like to say that we have this investment program, which is the best solution as a backup for your families. You're able to get a residence permit card without having to relocate, but at the same time having access to free healthcare, free education. It's a proper investment, delivers you returns, and basically it's a smooth process, black and white, so you can immediately enroll, you don't have to wait. And whenever you want to relocate and have access to one of the best areas of the planet with safety, you can just choose Portugal. We at PTGoldenVisa give you the full assistance, so whatever you want to clarify, feel free to contact us.
Okay, for the Netherlands, the small wrap-up, it's a great investment climate, and for immigration, we would say within 5 years you have your EU passport, your Dutch passport, you can travel around all EU, free healthcare system, it's free for schools for the children. If you just work in the Netherlands and you have your permit, you can get your family over, your kids over, so easy to settle there, so that's amazing. I will invite you all to come to our stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the EB5 program, I think now is an unbelievable time to take a look at the opportunity that it can provide you. I keep talking about this bill that got passed in March of this year. One of the greatest things about it is it provided visas in what they call set-aside categories, meaning in the past where there had been backlogs created in certain countries like India, Vietnam, and China, now there's visas that have been set aside that allow investors to kind of jump that line if they invest in specific types of projects. We have projects available at CMB that fit that set-aside visa category or one of the set-aside visa categories. And I'd love to be able to talk to you about them. Come visit me or my team. We're actually at the very first booth just outside the door. But thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thanks very much. Take care.